Good afternoon. Thanks a lot. In the past, Derek used to always have to deal with the press, but he's retired from that job. So you know how we should go about this.
Well, just say this. Thank you for coming, first thing. Secondly, so whatever you want for the cameras, we'll do it. Well,
Yes? Give me a clue which papers and radio and all that you've done. Pardon?
Countdown magazine.
Countdown. From Countdown magazine. London, hey.
The sun will go down a little. And that was what he's running down. George,
you and Derek, a copy of...
Where were you in 64?
This is a half-hour documentary of Beatles Adelaide.
Yeah, and this is You Are Power, right?
Yeah,
You're a Power.
Yeah, and believe it or not, that's the
soundtrack. Now this, you should be under arrest for recording.
Still, we know all about that, but reality is reality.
Right, and this is a documentary produced by John Martins, the store that brought you to Adelaide.
Yeah.
You weren't originally going to come. We turned out 350,000 people to meet you, which is the biggest crowd.
We paid all those people to come and meet us.
Have a look at it, George, and you'll see. And on behalf of the people of South Australia, there is a stylised map of our state.
Thank you.
Featuring the Music Express logo, which is my program that I host on Channel 7 in Adelaide. And also on behalf of 5KA and John Curran, watchmaker and jeweller. This is it. And it's engraved.
Yeah, a Jewish star, Lucky Cross and a cigarette lighter combined.
There you go.
Recent tour of a leprechaun. These brought back some beautiful colour slides. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Where's Derek? Thank you very much. Stylized pin of the sound.
Ran out of gold, and
we'll cut it in half and show you.
Derek's got a copy of the Beatles concert and also the...
Well, it looks like
reluctant to reminisce publicly, and now with Derek you're something of a rock historian. What brought about the change?
I never mind reminiscing. I just don't like living in the past. You know, when it comes down to, you know, the Beatles, there's enough being said about that. This is a totally different thing. After all, the book, the part of the book concerned with the 60s is only a part of the book, and it goes from Derek from 1930s right through to last year or the early this year. So I'm not really here to come and answer questions about you know, Paul, Ringo and John. And also the book for me is, as Derek said earlier, you know, there won't be another one written by him about it. And also, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to be involved with anything else either. So get it while you can.
Yes.
George, it seems you can't get away from that image anyway, the Beatles image, can you?
No, obviously not. But that in itself is no problem. It's just people's getting away from people's concepts of one or me or them. After all, I was a part of that band. It was a historical sort of historical band. I don't mind people relating me having been one of those. It's just the people who fail to see that there's actually a human involved as well that has, after all, the Beatles were only famous for how many, 6 years or now 10 years, and I'm a 41-year-old, so I mean 30 of those years I've been a non-Beatle, and there's much more to me than just, you know, yeah, ooh. So it's really, I try to avoid just the heavy Beatlemaniac living in the past syndrome, and I appreciate people who, you know, see that there's other aspects to me or them, etc.
George, can you explain briefly what the book 50 Years Adrift is all about and just what gave you the idea to write it?
Well, see, there's one example of wrong concept. First of all, I didn't write the book. I edited the book. Derek wrote the book, and so you should then, now knowing that, ask Derek the question.
Yes, next question. Thank you.
What does the future hold for you? What are you planning to do now? In working on this particular project?
Is that to Derek or to me? Well, I'm doing in the future what I'm doing right now, which is trying to be here now. Past it has gone. Thou canst not that recall. Future is not, may not be at all. The present is, improve the flying hour. The present only is within thy power. It's, to put it in a nutshell, the only thing that is existing is the now. And so now I'm here, and the next minute I'll be wherever I am next minute. So I don't really plan what the next move will be.
George, what's the promoting the expenditure of spiritual purpose?
Pardon?
How are you projecting the spiritual aspect?
I'm not really trying to project any spiritual aspect other than the same sort of thing I was trying to say there. The only real reality is now. We can reminisce of the past and we can imagine something in the future, but the only reality is now. And so likewise in the spiritual thing is just to try and enjoy and be in touch with that which is within us all from moment to moment.
Have a spiritual
No, the films are nothing to do with anything like that. Films is purely a commercial business type of thing.
Derek, can I ask you how important this book is?
Well, it's important in that it exists and therefore should, as a product, if you can use such a crass word about something as ornate as that, and it is really one of many products this year, it's important that it should sell rather than stick on the shelves. It's important that it should not be a coffee table book, which is why it's written colloquially with a lot of mucky jokes thrown in just to frighten people when they think it's getting really pompous and tedious. You will read such jokes as the one about the giraffe, the only animal in the world who can go into any bar at any time and say, tonight the highballs are on me. So that sort of stuff crops up just to make it trivial. And at the same time, there is some kind of serious purpose to show that in the last 52 years things have changed. But had it been an absolute stiff and a flop, I would have got over it very quickly. The publisher may have another story to tell. But nothing depends on just this one thing. It's been wonderful writing it, and anyway, the family and friends would have liked it. But as it's a hit, it's assumed greater importance and some kind of extra charm.
Derek, did you feel a special release of being able to put your life story on paper and have people read about your life?
No, none at all.
Derek,
But actually, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's good that he's got that out the way because, I happen to like his style of writing anyway, whether it's a postcard or a book. And I think it's important to get that out of the way so now he can make up stories and not have to write it sort of...
Well, you get on with it while you're writing. You only write during the morning and then come down in the afternoon and tell your wife that you've just written about life on the Horlick Advertiser. And then Brian Rawlins will ring up to say he's had an order from Venezuela from the Beatles fan club.
Derek, will you...
And I wonder how the people of Venezuela will, how much they'll want to know about life with Harold Higginbottom, my first editor. So there are paradoxes and ironies in this which are in themselves fascinating.
Derek, having been the Beatles press officer for a while and working with them very closely, will we find any exposés in the book such as we would have found in the Peter Brown book?
Oh, it's not like the Peter Brown book. The Peter Brown book doesn't tell a happy story. This tells a story essentially of a happy experience. That's the difference. I tend anyway to be a cheerful cove, and it is a reflection of the way I think and ramble. Except that the ramblings are sometimes cut short by George. It was never censored or edited, if that's what you mean. It was edited, but it wasn't censored.
Derek, how did you avoid repetition with the time goes by?
Well, Time Goes By was very short, and it was written in times when I was drinking and How's Your Father a lot. And it tended to be an us and them book. It was a book. It was a book written at the time when all the people who smoked dope were going to run the world, and that didn't happen. So this is a much more sensible book, and actually there's very little repetition. There are some areas.
I think I did say that was a few years or 10 years ago. It's true. It's like, it's like the question I just answered earlier it relates to that. It's sort of, people are more interested. It's the same with anybody. I mean, people are more interested with Richard Nixon when he was, doing whatever he was doing rather than whatever he's doing now. It's like that. I mean, it's just one of those things. But
do you believe that today?
well, I think largely, yes, that the say in the media or the mass of people would be more interested to read about me as a Beatle than to know, that I like cooking Chinese food or something,
Are you happy enough, though, to talk about your happy times?
Oh yeah, I'm not. The past, has gone. In some ways, the Beatle thing for me is like vague in the back of my mind, almost like it was a previous incarnation. So I've tried to jettison a lot of the paranoias and the things that, happened from that period and just try to get on with being whoever I am now.
Some of those have
We have to call things to close very soon, everybody.
Can we expect some more recorded material from you this year? In the future?
Possibly, yeah. I am recording what I call demos. I'm writing one of the albums, and what I honestly would do is at this time it's got mostly from that albums because like I'm writing for an art show.
On that note,
One more question.
Amy mine, that you would do the same in
There's no question. It was a one-off. I mean, it was a one-off. It was Brian Lewis' fault and idea.
Also, the love, maybe your love of Australia. George has property in Queensland.
No, that's untrue. That's
You don't have
untrue.
property.
That's what the press say.
About Northern New South Wales.
Pardon?
Northern New South
Right, the music business people, and just like the idea of the book about the last 50 years, people fans and people collecting limited edition, and people who know me, next door neighbour but one, and Ringo, and really an extraordinary cross-section. I had no idea at the beginning, but I wrote it in a way for people, whether they were my schoolmaster, snare for everybody with their grade. And that's why I didn't want to get into the hole in too many half-wits. Because you can't get it out.
Will it be a paperback edition?
No, so this is it.
The excuse for the Labour council to try and stay in power. Thank you all very much.
Thanks so much. Could you just see this one, please? Thank you very much. What did you say there? Thank you very, very much. Another room Oh, yes. It's my dedication to what happens is you take some pictures of appreciate those. It's very lovely. I was working in very more detail later. And I read that. It's sexually negative. I mean, it was always good in the garden. So if anyone doesn't know what that means, go buy George Harrison. Right. Any chance of signing the bond where you... That's a Beatles.
That's really alright.
Oh, he's bought a part of his cup.
You're going to have to varnish over it, though, otherwise it'll wash off when it rains.
Say George Harrison this year.
Great, good on you.
Thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for a break, guys. Thanks a lot, George.
I knew.
You know, really,